Hey there everybody, it's Jackie here from stampinjack.com. I'm back. Apologies, we're going to restart and retry. I've just quickly reset my router and hopefully, fingers crossed, that will give us a better signal. So I'm just going to wait 2 seconds for everybody to jump back in. Hopefully you'll be able to rejoin me. So when you arrive, just drop me a comment so I know you're here and then we can get going. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm just going to sip my tea while I wait for everything to catch up. And hopefully we'll start again. I can see people landing. So as I say, leave me a comment when you're here. Right. Hi Lynn, welcome back. Hi Kat. Hi Diane. Hopefully this will be a little bit better now. Hi Sue, good to have you. Okay. Just going to sip my tea while I wait for everybody to ping back in. Apologies for the connectivity earlier on. Hopefully it's resolved itself now. And you can see what's happening. Okay, so just a quick reminder. I did announce some prizes, but I'm just going to mention them again in case anyone missed it at the beginning. So we had Lynn won a packet of the Cupcakes and Carousels Designer Series paper from our launch party safari, and Angie won the For the Birds, and we had Julia Long won my £50 shopping spree, so I'll be in touch, Julia. And also just a reminder that, I have 2 spots left on my stamp club, so obviously I need to fill all the spots in order to run it. So if you haven't signed up yet and you're on the fence, then just drop me a message or let me know and I'll sign you up. I'd be a real shame if we didn't run it, but as I say, I need a few more, so if you ladies could help me out, that would be great. Thank you very much. So yes, as I said, tonight we're going to do some shaker cards. So I do these every so often. I do like shaker cards, but I'm going to do a whole Facebook Live just dedicated to those. So let's get started. So as I said, last week we made these cards using the Sweet Conversations bundle, and as a result I had lots of little hearts left over from die cutting some of these. So I see these and it tells me I see shaker cards, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, so first up we're going to use, this is one of the, I bought this as the Bouquet of Love. Let me just get it in the catalogue. So this comes as part of the bundle, but I didn't actually get the stamp set. I just got the dies. So let me just show it to you. Sometimes I do that. I have to admit, usually I regret it, but hey ho. What can you do? So it was this one here. So what we've got is this hybrid embossing folder and a set of dies. So the dies have got these cute hearts, some little flowers and some little labels. And then you've got the embossing folder, which does cuts and embosses. So we'll do that using this one. So you can see that the dies are not particularly wedded to the stamps, and I don't really have a lot of cause for weddings and engagements and things like that. So I thought I'd just get the embossing folder and the dies come together. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I've got my card base in Flirty Flamingo, and then I've cut a layer in the same colour, which is Flirty Flamingo, which is just a ½ centimetre smaller on all sides. So that's just my usual layers that I do. Okay, there you go. Did you know that on my YouTube channel, probably my most watched video over time is a video I made probably about 4 years ago now, explaining how I measure and cut my cardstock. And there's a crib sheet that goes with it, and that is the video that I get most comments from people asking me to email them the crib sheet. So if you don't already have it and you like it, just leave me a message below and I'll send it to you. As I say, there's that one, and the other one that's most popular again is the one I did quite a few years ago, which is 5 really simple fun folds. So if you haven't seen them already, do check them out. Anyway, so then I've also got, I've cut a window sheet, and I've cut it to the same size as my layer. Now you don't have to, you could cut it a little bit smaller, whatever size you want, but this just makes it easier for me. And then the key to lots of these is our foam adhesive strips. So we're going to use them. Okay, put it on all the cards. So what we're going to do is just put these away for a minute. We'll take our front layer, we've got our embossing folder, and we've got our heart. Now I don't know if you can see this, but there's a groove in the embossing folder here, and the die fits in like that. Okay, and then you fit your card in, and what that means is that when you run it through your embossing machine, it embosses and cuts at the same time. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in like that, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine. So 1 second, I'll be right back. Here we go. So now what we have is we have our layer, which is embossed, and you can see that it's cut that stitched aperture out, which is lovely. And then we have a heart that we can use on another project. So really, really cool, very, very clever. And that's why, and of course you can never go wrong. You can't have too many hearts. Okay, that's all of our die cutting done. So now we're going to assemble our cards. We're going to turn it over, and I'm just going to use my snail for the moment, because with I don't want to get too much glue on my window sheet. So I'm just going to line these up like so. So now I've got my window, and I can see I've got a little bit on the edge there, so I'm just going to trim that. Just so it's not sticking out too much. So there we go, now we have our window. Okay, so then what we want to do is turn it over, and we take our adhesive strips. Okay, so I'm just going to grab one of the big ones, or a full length one I should say, and the main thing with a shaker card is to make sure that there are no gaps around your aperture. And I also like to put my adhesive a little bit set back from the aperture, so that you can't, from the edge, so that you can't see it from the front, or it's less obvious from the front. And the great thing about these strips, as you can see, is that they're very, very flexible. So you can easily go around shapes. And oh, would you look at that? It's a smidge too small. But don't worry, I can fix that. I'm just going to snip a tiny bit of this and just wedge it in. Get the sticky side. Go. There we are. Okay, so don't quite want to peel that off just yet. Now what you can do if you want, because sometimes there's static, is you can take your embossing buddy and just run it around the edge here, to kind of take away any tackiness from the edge of your adhesive strip. Now the edges are not particularly sticky, so it's not a big problem, but it's just if you've got really small little embellishments going in, then it's useful to do that. So then what we do is we're just going to take our pieces, and I want a few little spots of yellow in here. So I want a nice mix of colours, not just the pink and red. Okay. So I want a reasonable amount in there so it fills up nicely. In fact, you know what? There we go. Okay. And then just peel off our strip. Okay, and then we can take our card. Now I've got to make sure I do this the right way. So my front is back. I'm looking at the back of it, so I'm just going to lay my piece down. I forgot a bit, which was just to give it some stability. Is I also want to put my strips around the edge. Now you can use dimensionals, but these strips are slightly taller than our dimensionals, so you get a bit of a mismatch, I would say, in terms of height. So I'm just going to, you don't need tons of it, it's just to provide that support. Or a little bit, so I'm just going to pop it there. Okay, so now we'll just peel all those bits off. Okay, and then again, making sure that my card, I want to make sure that it's opening backwards because I'm placing it down on my piece. And I'm going to just, this is a tricky bit. Normally what I'd do is I'd have my grid paper to do this. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to bend down and look at it. And that's why what I tend to do with these is I tend to make the front panel the same colour as the card base, so that if I'm a little bit skew-if, it's not especially obvious. Okay, so there we go. There's our shaker. Okay, and then I'm just going to grab a little scrap of white, and I want to use in the dies, there's this cool label. So I'm just going to, I think the sentiment I want is, I think you're wonderful. So this is the Special Moments stamp set. So this is free with when you spend £90 during celebration. You can see I've used it quite a lot already. It's definitely excellent value, especially as it's free. It's an excellent choice. Probably a better word than value. How can something be value when it's free? Okay, so then I'm going to take some real red and put my sentiment. So again, it's got a heart, but it's not necessarily Valentine's. It could just be thinking of you, or a happy birthday, or it could be a Valentine's, whichever you like. Okay, so then we're just going to line up our die. Grab my little mini embossing machine. Okay. Go. Alrighty. So now positioning. I think I'm just going to do it like so, and then I'm going to grab some real red ribbon here. Okay, I'm just going to tie a little bow. But I'm a bit undecided now. You know me, ladies. You know what I'm like. I'm going to put a bow here, but do I want a red one or do I want a white one? So this is my white glittered organdy ribbon, which was carried over from the autumn winter catalogue. So let me know, red ribbon or white ribbon, what do you think? White or red? So I'll wait for your comments and clear myself up a bit. Hi Mary, yeah, I seem to be okay. You're back, Mary. Excellent. So Mary says red, Diane says white. Oh, I think it's going to be one of those contentious ones, is it? Any more for any more? We're tied at the moment. So look. Red, white, white, white. Okay, so I think we've got white. Seems to be the favourite. So I'm just going to use some glue dots here. I don't really want to add any additional dimension to this. So I'm just going to some glue dots on the back. Pop that across there. And then because this ribbon is quite, where's the end? There it is. This ribbon is quite, I won't say thick, but it's a bit wiry almost. So I'm just going to use 2 glue dots on it. And just attach that at the bottom. And then just trim it slightly. So there we go. There's our first shaker card. How do I do my bows so neat, Diane? Believe it or not, that's my 3rd most popular video on YouTube. It's a very short one, but I'll give you a quick demonstration. The easiest way I find, you'll notice I do rabbit ears. So I'm going to do it with the red because you can see it more clearly. So the first thing to do is to make sure you give yourself plenty of ribbon. So you'll notice a lot of the time I actually tie it on the reel. And then, so what I tend to do is I make a loop with one hand, and you leave yourself a nice tail, and then I make a loop with the other hand. Okay, so the key here is to give yourself loads of ribbon to play with. Okay, so you can see I've got 2 big loops, and I've got a good bit in between. Okay, then what I do is I take my left and cross it over the right. So then I have my little X shape, and I've got a little circle here, and then this one that I've just folded over, I just pull it through like so. Okay, and then just, that's why you need to give yourself plenty of room. If you just gently pull it, now you can see I've got a really big, really loose bow now. Okay, so I just hold the ends like that and then pull it, and then you pinch your knot and just pull your bows together. And then you just keep adjusting to make it the size that you want. Okay, and you'll see you have a neat side and a knotted side. And that's it. Okay, so as I say, I'll post a link to the tying bows bit, because there's a couple of different ways of doing it, but that's the one I use the most. So yeah, hope that helped. I know from when I used to do in-person classes that bow tying was something that a lot of people struggled with, and I used to often tie people's bows for them because it just took all the fun out of it. Okay, yes, you're right, it does look like the heart is smiling, Mary. I didn't notice that. So there we go, that's card number 1. Okay, so next up is when I saw this, in fact I think when this is, I'm going to use the Rainbow of Happiness stamp set and dies, and I think I remember when I was doing that live I said I've got to do a shaper card with this, and I'm going to use the frosted beads. So again, I've got a Whisper White card base, just fold that, and I've got my piece of white, and I've got my window sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my die cutting. So with this stamp set comes, if I can get it out, this die, okay, and this die cuts out, you'll remember this from a previous live, cuts out this shape, okay. So I could use the paper, but it's a bit thin there, so I would rather use my card. So I'm going to do that on my white piece. I'm going to just take that to my Big Shot and cut that out. I shall be right back. Right, here we go. So now we have our shape. So just like before, I'm just going to take my snail and just use it to attach my window sheet. Okay, so you'll see I haven't gone right up to the edge for this one because I want to leave room for this. So just lay that down. Okay, so now we have our window. All right, so then we're just going to do the same as we did before with our strips. But what we're going to do this time, okay, is I am going to trim some of these because I want to get a bit more of a curve. So I'm just going round the outside. And again, I'm not butting right up against the edge. Just leaving a bit of space. Okay, so there we go. Now, we could leave it like that, but I think we can be a bit fancier than that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my individual bits of my rainbow. Okay, so I'm just turning it over to make sure that my strips are not showing. Okay, so it just so happens that the gaps in between these rainbows is just the right size for our strips. It's almost like it was made that way. Do you think it was done on purpose, or is it just a happy accident? I know Stampin' Up! Are really good at coordination, but even for them, that would be unusual. Oh, look at that. I've got a teeny tiny bit left again, just like the last one, so we'll just snip a tiny bit. And wedge it in. And then you can see I've got an overlap here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this piece. Okay, now the embellishments I'm putting in here are quite large, so it doesn't really matter, but if you were putting fine glitter or something like that, you would need to make it sure that it was absolutely tight. Now, what you could do I made a mistake, but I'll sort that out. I was going to stamp on here, but I should have done that before I did the strips, but never mind. So, and that reminds me, I need to do the strips for the rest of the card while I'm at it. There you go, and then you can just put leftover bits back on your backing paper like that so they don't get wasted. Okay, now you could painstakingly sort through these beads and put just one of each colour in each bit, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm sure you guys get the idea, and if you wanted to do it you could, but you don't need to sit and watch me sort these for colour. Really unnecessary. So I'm just going to load this up. Plenty of beads. Now you could use anything, any kind of embellishments. The thing to remember with shaker cards is you need to fill it up enough so that it doesn't look empty, so that everything doesn't stop and just sit at the bottom, but empty enough so that there's room for them to move. So you can see I'm just putting everything down to the bottom like that so I can see how they'll rest when my card is upright. Okay, it's not an exact science, but I can see now if the card just looked like that, I'd be happy. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my card base. We're just going to do exactly the same again. Being careful not to spill the beads. There we go. Okie dokie. So now again, remember my card front needs to go. I need to do it like my card is backwards so that I get the front correctly. So again, I'm just going to bend down and kind of look at it from the side and the corners to make sure that I'm reasonably well aligned. There we go. Okay, and give that a good press. Make sure we've got no gaps. Okay, and then when you flip it over, there we go. So you can see our beads move. Interesting that they don't go. Just 1 second. They seem to be getting stuck in a spot, so I'm just going to see what's blocking it. There we go, that's better. Okay, so there we have our rainbow. Now, as I said, this is a little bit crooked, so I'm going to be brave here and just lift up my thingy a little. No, I'm not going to be brave. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. I'll come back to it when I can do it in slow time. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab a scrap of white. Got some glue on here, so let's just erase that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little something to brighten your day. And I'm going to stamp that in. I'm doing real red again because there's red in the beads. So here's my scrap. Here we go. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the cloud punch. Just give that 2 seconds to dry because I know what red can be like. Are you still there, ladies? 'Cause I don't seem to be seeing the comments. So if you're still there, just shout so I know you're there. Okay, so now just going to stamp that. Still here. Good. Excellent, Mary. Yay. Okay. I'm going to pop that up there, and then I'm going to take one of my little hearts, die cuts that I've got left over, and I'm going to just pop that there, like that. And then I think I'm going to use some of that white ribbon again, just to create a little bit of a feature behind here. So instead of a bow, I'm going to do my usual little zigzag. So again, like I always do, just going to put something on here. There we go, and then we'll use some dimensionals to pop this up. There we go. That's our second shaker card. I like that. That's cool. Fantastic. Right. So now on to our next card. So for this one, I'm going to use the Hello Beautiful stamp set and dies. And I'm going to use these shaker shapes. So these are in the main catalogue, and these are a lot of fun. So again, we start with the same. We've got our Whisper White card base. I've just kept it really simple. You can go as complex as you want. You could do any kind of colours, but I like to start with white, as you know. Okay, so then we're going to stick down our window sheet. No, we're not going to do that. No, we've done that the wrong way around. I'm going to do my die cutting first, haven't I? So what I've got here then is I've got my hexagons. Okay, so I've got 3 shapes here, so I'm just going to arrange them like so. Okay, I'm just going to go and die cut these, so I shall be right back. Okay, and then on this one I'm going to stamp a greeting. So I want something let's see, quite a big one to fit on there. Just 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to take the Your Biggest Fan, and I'm going to go with Hooray. Will that fit? Not quite. Let's see. Happy birthday. You're amazing. And then we've got these little stars as well. Or we'll do it that way. Okay, so let's pick these up. Okay, and I'm going to take some, so these colours are Granny Apple Green, Daffodil Delight, and polished pink, I think, but definitely a bright pink. So I'm going to use my Granny Apple Green, which is here. Stamp the Happy Birthday, You're Amazing. Okay, and then I'm going to take the little stars, I think, and stamp those in Daffodil Delight. There we go. Close that up. Okay. Okay, so now I can attach my window sheet. Go, and again you can see I've just got a little bit sticking out at the edge, so I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. Alrighty, so how this one's going to work is we're going to have it popped up, but this is going to sit behind, and then these are going to be filled. Okay, so for our strips, oh, am I lost? Hang on. Alright, let me just double check I'm still with you. Oh dear. Am I talking to myself? Let me just see. Hang on. Let's see. I seem to still be here. The wind is really picking up outside. I think we've got issues. So I'm going to just keep going. And hopefully service will be resumed. Okay. Oh dear. Yeah, connected. Okay, I can see. Oh, I see. I get the joke now about the no. I'm a bit behind the times. Okay. There we go. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now like before, I'm going to add my bits so that my entire front is supported. Got a tiny little gap there actually. It's alright, I've got a little piece that I kept. So I'll put a little bit in the corner here. And I'll just cut teeny tiny little piece and pop it in there. Hi Dorothy, British Columbia, wow. What time is it there? It's coming up for 9 PM here in the UK. Okay, don't worry about that for the moment. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my pieces. And we're just going to do like we did with all the others and just fill them up. Now again, I could be really, what's the word, conscientious and fill this up or organize it so that I've got circles in one and hearts in the other or something like that, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, but what I am going to do is I'm going to stick this back in. Okay, and what I'm going to use for that is I'm going to use some double-sided tape because then it won't show through the acetate. Obviously I'm not going to peel back my double-sided tape, I'm just, so you could use regular sellotape for this if you wanted. Here we go. Okay, so now I've got my card. So remember, I need to hold my card backwards because I'm going to lay it on top. I'm going to try really hard to get this one straight. So I'm actually going to, I have it somewhere. I should have some grid paper here. Here we go. I'm going to use some grid paper to help me here. Okay, so just make some space for this. And the reason I want to get this one straight is because my sentiment is here. So if I get it crooked, if it's crooked, then it will, it'll look really bad. It'll be obvious. Okay, so I'm just lining this up on my grid paper. Peeling off all my strips. That one's done. There you go. It looks a terrible mess from the back, but once we're on, once it's on, it'll be fine. Okay. So now I can see the lines. Don't know if you can see that. I can see the lines where my card stops, so I can make sure that I'm even. Okay, hopefully that worked. We'll just give it a good press to make sure it's all in place, and then when we turn it over, let's get rid of the glue that we've got on here. Okay. There we go, and then we can bring back in our embellishments. Did you hear somewhere? There they are. And we can just glue a few down. I see I've got a little ink smudge here, so let's do a little creative disguising. So I'm just putting some tiny little dots like that, and then I'm going to use my take your pick tool. And I'm going to use the stars. Here. Oop. Oh, I had it and I lost it. Go. And a star. So there we go. That's our third shaker card. So, yeah, absolutely, Mary. If I was that conscientious with the beads, I would definitely have split the colours. But like I said, I didn't think to do it ahead of time, and I really didn't think you guys would want to watch me do it. Here we go. Yeah, Mary, when I first started putting on lives, I used to have everything absolutely positively prepared ahead of time. But now I just don't have the time to sit and do all the projects first, so I just kind of have to go with it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but I think most of the time I get away with it. So here we are. There's our 3 shaker cards. So you know what's coming now, ladies. It's time for you to choose. Is it card number 1 with the hearts? Or card number 2 with the rainbow beads? Or card number 3 with the hexagons? There we go. So I'm going to just clear up a little bit. So as I say, don't forget I should be back live next week. But as I say, if you haven't already signed up for Stamp Club, then please do, because I would hate to not be able to run it. Because we haven't got enough. So I just need 2 more volunteers to join in and we'll be good to go. So do let me know in the next day or so, so that I can send all the information out to those lovely ladies who are already signed up and waiting patiently. So for those of you who have signed up, I apologise for the delay. I'm just waiting for it to fill up before we can do it. Okay. So let's have a look. Let's see. Let's see what we've got. Dum-de-dum. Right. Just scrolling through the comments here. See what we've got. Oh. I think you guys are just catching up. So let's just see. Copycat. 213 says Diane. Mary's interested in the paper share. Okay. Hi Jeanette, welcome. All are great. Sue says 321. We've also got a 231. Bit of a spread tonight. Anyway, I hope that inspires you to make some to make some shaker cards. If you do, then I'd love it if you posted your pictures in my VIP group. Most of you who are on here are members of that group, so do post them in there. I'd love to do it. I'm going to do a card swap for February when I get my act together and get organised. So hopefully we'll be able to do something nice for then. And maybe not Valentine's. We might do something a little bit more original. So we'll see how that goes. So thank you very much, ladies. Apologies for the connectivity issues. I hope you still enjoyed tonight, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye.